Hello all, this is Kelly Brown presenting to you today regarding social work advocacy. Social work advocacy through technology is something that, of course, a technology class would discuss, but let's first take a look at what is advocacy. Advocacy is the process of working with and or on behalf of clients to obtain services or resources for clients that would not otherwise be provided, to modify extant policies, procedures, or practice that adversely impact clients, or to promote new legislations or policies that will result in the provision of needed resources or services. And that's according to Azell. I'm sure many are you aware and actually engage almost daily in client advocacy. Client advocacy is, of course, for the individual client. Not necessarily just the client, but maybe the client and their families. We're known to advocate in schools, where we kind of help empower parents to deal with their children's issues in schools, be it attendance issues, problems with relationships with teachers, needing individualized educational plans, advocating for someone to step in and help these children before they quote unquote fall through the cracks. We also have advocacy on the client level in my field in the courts, where oftentimes advocating not for children who are necessarily being adjudicated for crimes, but we do advocate for children to return home to their parents, to remain in care, not often, but sometimes we do have to advocate for the child if the child's desires are that they want to remain in care due to some adverse issues in the home. So individual advocacy can go on forever and ever. Again, Mosely defines client advocacy as advocacy on behalf of families and individuals. However, since we do work with individuals daily, we as clinical social workers assist clients as they face private troubles. We also need to face the structural barriers that contribute to these concerns. Which brings me to legislative advocacy. Social workers are in a unique position to observe trends in society through the clients with whom they interact. They're able to identify gaps in services, barriers to access, and are able to bring attention to issues affecting target populations through advocacy and outreach. Social workers on the macro level are known to lobby legislation and are very involved in political advocacy. And I'd just like to show
with
you
the
an
House
example.
resolution, and my staff was also a social worker, Gustavo Medina. I would like today to rise to ask that for House Resolution 10, declaring March National Social Work Month. Social work is a long, proud profession dating back to 1889, starting in Chicago. Currently have about 640,000 social workers in the country, about 4,000 in education here in the state of California. This year's theme is Weaving Threads of Resiliency and Advocacy, the Power of Social Work. You will find professional social workers all through the state, all around, trying to provide basic services for people in education, in healthcare, in corrections, community organizing, housing. Everywhere that you find people in need, you will find social workers trying to do their part. We've had a proud line of professional social workers who have served in this House and in Congress, including Ron Dellums, Barbara Lee, Susan Davis, Patty Berg, and also currently the president of the United Farm Workers, Arturo Rodriguez, is a social worker. So we are everywhere, and we ask, it's appropriate time that we open the roll for people to sign on for H.R. 10, presented by myself and Assemblymember Yamada. We share the same proud profession of H.R. 10, declaring March National Social Work Month, and then
So as you can see, social workers do advocate, as you know, directly in person for political purposes. Social workers also use technology in advocacy. New technology is revolutionizing the practice of political advocacy in the United States, according to McNutt and Molen, which is giving rise to new interventions, and we call these collectively electronic advocacy or online advocacy. Online media is more cost-effective, reaches larger numbers of people, and provides a medium of exchange never before utilized in the days of snail mail and paper newsletters, and that's my quote. Here's another example of legislative advocacy at its best, but this social worker is helpful in sharing how you can kind of bring this to the attention of your family members and a larger
It's
audience.
a perfect segue from Carolyn into what I want to talk to you about today, because as Michael said, you're going to be meeting face-to-face with members of Congress, hopefully, and some of their staff. But what we want to try to do through social media, or Advocacy 2.0, is to share what you're doing today, to be able to invite others, your friends and family, to participate in that process as well. So that's what I want to talk to you about a little bit today. At its heart, advocacy is still the same in terms of it's telling a story, right? With compelling facts, figures, images, whatever it is that you have at your disposal. But what we used to do in the past, and we continue to do it to some extent, is meeting like today with our legislators. But in years past, we also wrote letters. We also spent time knocking on doors to get people to sign petitions or canvassing streets to sign petitions. But in today's world, we have different tools to help us do that. When you think about things like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and every day there seems to be a new app that comes out to be able to help you make it more convenient, what basically is happening today is these tools are helping us to amplify and accelerate advocacy because it's digital and it's social. And as a result, your advocacy action can spread further and faster than ever before. It's still about having a conversation. It's still about building connections and building community. And we see it shaping the world in which we live. Just last week, for example, many of you may have heard about the homeless man who was given us a prepaid cell phone. And he used that to develop a Twitter account. And he reunited with his daughter after having not seen her for 11 years. We've seen it in the Middle East, where governments are being overthrown. It's basically the people of the Middle East are using social media to galvanize themselves and galvanize a community to make a difference. And that's what we want to do today, to galvanize this community across America to invest in children.
So as you see, social workers are becoming involved and trying to encourage others. You might have heard her talk about social media in the Middle East, and as you know, that did mobilize people to political participation. So studies have found that young people, generally political uses of internet mobilize their participations, but for adults, it did just kind of give a normalizing effect. Online collective political actions are defined as those actions performed by individuals utilizing social media together with other members of a group or on behalf of a group. There are some confidentiality concerns, although this statement by Meyer et al. States that given the heightened concern about the protection of consumers' health information, the technical implementation of chat groups used in healthcare must take data security into account, but does this apply to advocacy efforts? There are limitations, one of those limitations being consider for a moment your private accounts when engaging in your advocacy efforts.
It all used to be so simple. Posting something involved a stamp. Strangers from the other side of the world didn't comment on your videos. Cats didn't play keyboards. Buzz was what bees did. Your annoying aunt didn't want to add you as a friend. And epic fail made no sense whatsoever. But now the rules have changed. The explosion of social media means that now everyone talks to everyone about everything all the time. And these conversations can be accessed again and again forever, constantly changing and shaping the way we interact with each other and with brands. For instance, in just one day, 300,000 new people joined Twitter, 55 million tweets are written, 35 million people update their Facebook status. The average user spends nearly an hour on Facebook. 2 billion videos are watched on YouTube. 34,560 hours of video is uploaded. And that's not taking into account the millions of posts, chats and comments that appear every day on blogs, forums and sites around the world. So what does this mean for us? We're already engaging in social media with useful profiles like Help Point Advocate and Zurich NA News on Twitter. But we have a lot more to offer. And in order to make the most of these incredible opportunities, we need to avoid any embarrassing or damaging situations and preserve Zurich's reputation, as well as your own. So that's why we've put together a few guidelines, covering everything from international copyright laws and the protection of personal data, through to how to deal with negative posts, so you know what to do and what not to do, both in and outside of work. Why? Take Facebook, for instance. The average person has 130 friends, and each of them will also have 130 friends, and so on and so on. So anytime you write a comment or upload a photo or video, a lot of people will see it forever. And just one post can quickly spread wider and wider and wider. You get the idea? So as Zurich employees, all we're asking is that you have a quick read through our guidelines on how to use social media. Next time you post something online, just have a quick think first.
Now, while that was for a particular advocacy group, you do need to consider your own private accounts when engaging in advocacy efforts. Another limitation is opposing forces. Recently, there was a online advocacy group that got rid of Facebook and Twitter, allowing for the sale of guns. So online advocacy can attract like-minded individuals, and they did develop the group mentality to help convince Facebook and Twitter. But let's check out what happens when unintended consequences, your success actually sparks controversy.
Now back here at home, a big headline turning up, and the heat is on the gun debate in America. Today we learned Facebook and Instagram will crack down on the number of illegal guns sold online, some of them weapons bought by children. ABC's senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas showing us what's behind this decision.
How you doing, man? You're looking at the sale of an AK-47 assault rifle in an Arizona fast food parking lot. Came less than an hour after Fusion reporter Mariana Van Zeller saw it for sale on the internet. No background check, no questions asked. Critics say social media sites like Facebook and Instagram are becoming virtual gun stores, giving potentially easy access to juveniles and criminals.
The internet dwarfs all the gun shows in America now as a potential source of firearms. It is difficult to police the internet.
Check out this on Instagram. Lots of guns to choose from. All kinds of handguns and assault rifles just a touch or click away. Today, Instagram and Facebook announced a series of steps to try to make sure social media gun buyers and sellers follow the law. Facebook will block access to gun sale posts to users 18 and under. Remove gun sale postings that promote sales without background checks. It will tell users that internet gun sales crossing state lines must go through a licensed firearms dealer. The head of the NRA's New York affiliate warned that the policy could be used to silence gun enthusiasts on social media. This is something that could greatly get out of control very quickly.
So as you see, there's concerns that they may use this against you or advocates, and thinking that you're trying to dumb down the rights of people. Social work advocacy has been used in online participatory action research, meaning a democratic process in developing practical knowledge. It's been used in the GMO debate much over in England, in the United Kingdom. So policymakers and citizens do regard the ethical and social controversies to increase accountability and initiate social learning and improving the acceptance of the political decisions. Creation of social work as a culture is considerations, because if social workers have been consistently concerned with anything throughout the history, it's been justice. So as a social worker, I'd just like to ask you, have you been involved in any social change or challenging of injustice? Currently, professionals' uses of social media do include advocacy, but if you see down here, advocacy and marketing is kind of low. Do you feel that you've done all you can to advocate for your target population? What have you done since you saw this?
One land strong, yo, you stepping up in me a strong. One land strong, man, and no one begin on your black man. Yo, me and me are so come on, put on your gun, put on your violence. Teach the ghetto youths them truths and come on, swan. Put on your gun, put on your bomb, put on your violence. And now come on, people be in a police station. Yo, we could be in, I, yeah, I want to be
there are some websites, like